everyone, and welcome to our first edition of Thursdays at 11 with Wendy Kelly and You Can't Yell at the Deaf Girl. I'm Wendy. Nice to meet you all, and I hope you guys are having a great day so far. Let me tell you a little bit about what Thursdays at 11 is about. So every Monday, I do a Monday Musings on Facebook Live where I talk about different things that have happened to me, either communication-wise or silly things or unique instances of people just not really taking into consideration what they're saying to someone with a hearing loss. And because I want to really make sure that we have the opportunity to deep dive into some of those Monday music conversations, because I know sometimes I don't always expand on them well. So Thursdays at 11 is an opportunity for me to go bigger and go deeper about those conversations. There's going to be stuff about, communication. There's going to be stuff I've had to deal with, experiences in my life as someone with a hearing loss. And I'm also going to be talking about just silly, sarcastic, and maybe irreverent things because, that's what I'm known for. Anyways, You Can't Yell at Deaf Girl is really my sarcastic take on communication all the way around. I say you can't yell at Deaf Girl all the time because people will yell at me and honk at me and try to get my attention through all the ways, verbally yelling, and guess what? I can't hear you. And so usually I'll be sarcastic and say, no, dude, you can't yell at the Deaf Girl. And also the other thing is, too, is really, whenever anyone is getting yelled at, the person who is on the receiving end of the yelling is usually deaf to it. So you can't yell at anyone, really. Who wants to listen to anyone when they're being yelled at? I know I don't want to. I can't stand it. I hate it. And, and sometimes people will yell at me because they think that's what I need to hear, and that's not the case either. Conversation for another day. But just think about this. When you're being yelled at, why would you want to talk to them? I know I don't. So, again, there's You Can't Yell at the Deaf Girl. Kind of goes both ways, several ways. However that goes. Who knows? Anyways, on this last Monday Musings on February 8th, I talked about self-talk. And a lot of people have asked me, what does self-talk have to do with communication? Oh my gosh, everything. Everything. The way you talk to yourself really honestly puts it out there how you're going to talk to everybody else. I mean, there's so much to it. So let's dive into that a little bit and talk about it. Because there's really a lot that goes along with it. So I'll admit it, I talk to myself all the time. In my head, out loud. You'll hear me muttering to myself when I'm walking around the house, trying to figure out what's going on, muttering under my breath if I'm trying to remember what my schedule is and I don't have my phone or my schedule right in front of me. And so just making sure I'm staying on task. Also, it helps me to read things out loud so I can hear the inflection and the context of something as I'm writing. And it really helps when you're doing content writing that way anyway. But I mean, I talk to myself. You, me, billions of humans on this earth, we all talk to ourselves. We have lively inner dialogues taking place nearly all the time, all of our waking moments. It's like we have these invisible companions inside of our head whispering in our ears all the time, all of our waking moments. And when we talk to ourselves, repeating and re-repeating messages, we are literally reprogramming our subconscious. So what are we programming ourselves with to begin with? So what do you say when you talk to yourself? If you're like most people, it's usually not along the lines of, wow, that was awesome, and yay, this was great. It's more likely to come in the form of a judgment, because we are so freaking hard on ourselves, and beyond hard on ourselves, and oftentimes without reason. Seriously. A lot of times our self-talk will sound like something like this. Oh my gosh, that was so stupid. How could you do that? You're such a loser. You're too fat. You're too this. You're too short. You're too ugly. This is never going to work, Wendy. Why are you doing that? Just stop. A lot of times it's our ego mind yelling at us because we are jumping out of our comfort zone and doing something that our heart is saying is the right thing. Remember that. Your heart is always going to be the right way to lead you. So listen to this more than you listen to this, because this is always going to talk you out of it. So also along those lines with the self-talk, some of those statements may be things that we've heard as a child or from other people that were supposed to be nice to us and maybe weren't. For me, an inner dialogue that I've had with myself for years that I am still working on and probably will be working on for the rest of my life is the fact that when I was a child, my cute little grandma, bless her heart, and I'm using cute little grandma and bless her heart for a reason. Understanding that the era that she grew up in and that the way they treated people with disabilities, no matter how visible or not visible they were, whether it was a physical, hidden disability like blindness or deafness, or even internal like autoimmune diseases, or intellectual disabilities. Anytime there anyone deemed differently, oftentimes parents were encouraged to send them away. And so being a grandmother and having her own son, my father was hearing impaired too, and then me, she always thought we were broken, and she told me that. I love you, and you're amazing, you're smart, but you're broken, and people don't like broken people. I was 5 when she first told me that. I have lived with that for 45 years of my life, and I'm still struggling over that. And I believed a lot of times in my rejection, well, they didn't want me because I was broken. In some cases, that was true because some people did use my hearing against me. But in other cases, it was completely my mindset. It really was. I'm not the kind of person that's going to take a challenge lying down. If you challenge me, I'm going to show you, yeah, I can do it and I can do it better than you. But that's just me. Anyway, so we are all, we also have to deal with the stuff that people have told us as a child, or maybe former bosses, former spouses, former partners, exes, all of that stuff. Sometimes we take the very worst that somebody has said to us in our weakest moments and we internalize that, and it is hard for us to get out of it. And that sucks for us because then we make it our inner voice, and that's not cool. This might be whiskey. I'm kidding. I'm just not. Anyway, so the voice for us, though, that carries the biggest impact in that, no, I'm not listening to this anymore, is us. It's me, it's you, it's that person saying, no, that is not true. That is no longer the story I'm telling myself. Perhaps the most important messages you will ever communicate are the ones you send yourself. After all, what we believe influences our actions and ultimately our lives. So what we believe influences our actions, and part of those actions is how we communicate with other people and ourselves, and that influences our lives. So let's take it in the sports world. Let's use this for an example. So in the sports world, research has suggested that self-talk has a significant impact on athletes and their performance. There have been teams that, based on their physical condition, should have never been in the championship round. They should have been eliminated in the first heats. But as a team, their psychological gathering with each other, we've got this, beat out every other team, and the underdog came back and won. All because of their psychological mindset of where they were and the things they were telling themselves. I'm a champion. I'm a winner. Screw them. We've got this. We're going to beat them. We've got the heart to do this. We may not be big and buff, but we've got the heart. And that means everything. And so anytime you are naysaying your inner gremlins, you're actually building up your championship status, and that's a big deal. So I've also seen similar results when I've had to get up and do public speaking, which has always been something I've been scared of because I know I talk too fast sometimes, and I probably have been here a little bit, but I talk too fast sometimes when I get nervous. I do stumble over some words because of, even with thousands of dollars of speech therapy, there are still some sounds I struggle with, but that's okay. But I noticed that when I would walk out and go, I am prepared, I'm ready, this is exciting, this is easy, this is fun, or this is going to be fun, my mindset changed and I ended up having a great time and delivering a great speech. So it's all about the mindset. So over the past few months, or years actually, probably the last 8 or 9 years, I've been really working to stop sending myself messages that are negative in my life or in my business. I'm really trying to erase years of programming and replace it with thoughts that will help me. When that gremlin in my head starts whispering ideas that don't serve me, like nobody's going to want to listen to this, nobody cares, everybody and their dog talks about communication, I take a minute and I go, I hear you. I hear you. I love you. And then I ask myself, is this true? And I look at the evidence, which is usually non-existent, and at best circumstantial. So then I get to move on, because what I've done is just said, stop telling yourself a story that doesn't exist. So the process of that has not made me an enlightened being, but I have lightened up a lot. Without the nagging, doubting, and negative message from my naysaying, gremlin little self, I can put something more positive into my head, and I will start to see the truth of the situation. And my brain has the intellectual and emotional clarity to make better decisions. So how do we reprogram ourselves with self-talk? It's a process, and it's not going to be easy every single day. It's not going to be something that you can do well right off the bat. It takes practice. It takes practice, a lot of practice, and it takes dedication to why you want to do this, and all of those things. So, how do we reprogram ourselves? You've heard of some people that have put an elastic band around their wrist, and they snap it. Ow! They snap it every time they have a negative thought. So basically trying to retrain themselves that, with a negative thought comes pain, which is technically true, but with a negative thought comes pain. I am not one that likes to snap myself and inflict pain on myself. So I seem to have been able to shut off the negative argument without the pain. But I think about the pleasure of being able to work with a functioning brain, and not one cluttered with fictional tales that send me back to a mythical territory of strife and struggle and bad luck and bad hair days. We've all had them. But you know what? We got through it. And you know what? They were not as bad as we ever thought they were. They really weren't. So some people claim that simply saying positive words can make a difference, whether or not you believe them. For me, replacing negative self-talk doesn't mean chanting phrases or anything like that, such as my greatness is amazing or I'm a money magnet. I mean, those work, don't get me wrong. I do believe in manifestation and all of that too. However, for some of you, simply being able to do is just substituting a positive idea as much as possible and making it, hey, I'm discovering the greatness in me, and I offer services people value and pay for. That's not playing small. Well, for some people it might be, but at least you're playing. Get in that arena. Start telling yourself how amazing you are. Tell yourself you love you. When's the last time you said, hey self, I got you. I love you. We're fine. We're going to get through this. So here's what positive self-talk means anyway. Positive self-talk means you build a better relationship with yourself. When you ease up with the negative self-talk and substitute positive messages, you actually develop a better relationship with yourself. Now think about that. Anytime you do that with another person, the relationship tends to get better, and you tend to feel better about yourself too, because you put yourself in that positive space. Why would that be any different than yourself? Why would that be something that's hard to understand? We all prefer to be with people that make us feel better and not consistently tear us down. So why are we going to be the ones to tear ourselves down? That's not cool. That's not the way it works. Another way is you also change your mental environment when you inject positive, believable thoughts. You just cannot stay in loserville when your brain is willing to entertain that there might be something fabulous about you. Dare I say great? Dare I say fucking amazing? Dare I say get out there and kick ass in that world, because you are one badass person. Think about those things. And you're like, if I'm constantly saying I'm a badass, guess what butt I'm going to be kicking? My competitor. No matter how good they think they are. If I'm a badass, there we go. Another way that this helps with positive self-talk is if you're communicating differently with yourself, you're going to be able to communicate more effectively with other people when you're feeling good about yourself. Plus, you're also thinking clearly, and that inner voice is shouting at you, and it is shouting abuse at you, and you may actually be a nicer person. What a freaking concept. You may actually be a nicer person. So, think about that. It's a pretty simple concept, honestly. So how should we talk to ourselves? Lots of different ways. Lots of different ways. Make a habit of noticing when the no voice is talking to you. You might even just say, hey, thank you for your input, and that you'll consider it later. But also really step back and say, who's saying no? Is it your heart or is it your mind trying to talk you out of it? Because your ego mind is the mind that's going to sit there and say you can't because they're scared. Well, your heart is like, jump and fly. I promise you, we got this. We got this. Even when it's scary, if your heart's saying, let's go, and your mind's freaking out, that's usually when you know you're on the right track. So then also examine the facts of the case when you're talking to yourself. Is the story I'm telling myself true? Is the story I'm telling myself true? And then turn that into a statement. And then listen to yourself say it. I guarantee you, you're probably going to say, what the hell's going on? I'm over it. I'm off. I'm doing this. And start the talk, your self-talk, with I, not you. This lets your brain know you're in control of yourself. I know it feels weird. I am this, and you know what? Sometimes you're like, self, you and I have to have a talk. But guess what? Oftentimes that means going to your mirror and saying, look, we need to get down. And look yourself in the eye and tell yourself what your brain's been telling you. I can guarantee you're not going to like it at all. And then use present tense when you're using your I statement. There can be I am and I do and I have. And if you're speaking of positive things that are happening in the future, you're programming your brain to know that you're going to get those things in the future. I am capable of making sure this project gets done. I am open to accepting new opportunities for my job or for love or for my relationship. I do step up and do what I'm supposed to do as needed. And I have already. I am grateful. I am grateful. So guess what? Talk to yourself once in a while. Enjoy the conversation. It might lead you somewhere interesting. Like precisely where you're trying to go. It's an interesting concept, right? Self-talk can often take place during when you're meditating or doing yoga or running. I know for me, my best time talking to myself or having those conversations when I'm outside, taking my long walks or run, or outside with my granddaughter and watching her play. There's a lot of things that you can do that can help yourself. Some of you might like taking a long bath and you can just sit back and relax. Some of you might be hiking or whatever. But I will tell you right now, find that place daily where you can have those conversations with yourself and get yourself straight. We're all going to have those days where it's going to be shit. It really will be. But don't stay stuck. Don't stay stuck. Embrace it, feel it, acknowledge it, and then let that shit go. And then get back on track to being the amazing, amazing, amazing human being that you know you are. And then tell yourself that every day. So that's it today for our Thursdays at 11. And I hope that gave you a little bit more insight on my positive self-talk perspectives. I'm excited about where this is going. There's so many exciting things coming on in 2021, and it's going to be a huge year for You Can't Yell at the Deaf Girl and you as you join me on the journey. So I hope you liked today's presentation. If you have any suggestions, please shoot me a comment or an email, and you can find that down below in the comments. And I wish you all a beautiful day. Tell yourself you love you, because I know I sure do. Go make good choices, and till next week.